My name is Alan Carter, a former police officer with many years of service in the most dangerous parts of the city. My life once revolved around risky missions, direct confrontations with death, and painful memories I thought would haunt me forever. But nothing from those days prepared me for the extraordinary journey I am about to share. That day began like any other, with the usual work and the fatigue I had grown accustomed to over the past months. I thought I just needed a little more rest, but my body had other plans. The fatigue became so overwhelming that I struggled to breathe and had to be rushed to the hospital. The doctors diagnosed me with a rare autoimmune disease attacking my heart. Hour by hour, I felt my strength draining away, and in the following weeks, I lay there, weak and helpless. That night, I felt a significant change in my body. The pain in my chest was so intense, it felt as if someone was squeezing my heart with relentless force. A cold sensation enveloped me, and everything around me gradually blurred. I tried to stay conscious, but I couldn't. At that moment, I accepted that I might never wake up again. But when I opened my eyes, I was no longer in the hospital. I stood in a vast expanse where gentle light bathed everything but seemed to have no clear source. Around me was a profound stillness, with no sound or movement. Before me, a brighter light began to appear. I didn't feel fear. Instead, a strange sense of peace I had never experienced washed over me. "Alan," a voice called out, deep and compassionate. It wasn't like any sound I had heard before. It didn't come from outside, but seemed to echo from within me. "Who's there? Where am I?" asked, my voice trembling with curiosity. "I am the one who has always been with you, even when you did not realize it. This is not your end, but the place where you will come to understand more about yourself and the mission you have been given." Before me, the gentle light began to move, as if unveiling something greater. A vague figure surrounded by holy light appeared. Though I couldn't see its face clearly, I knew this was the presence of Jesus Christ. A warmth and an all-encompassing love overwhelmed me, and I began to weep. The light didn't just envelop me, it illuminated my memories. I saw myself as a child, a boy full of dreams and wonder. I ran down country roads, laughing with friends, but I also remembered moments when I hurt my mother with my stubbornness. These memories appeared more vividly than ever, as if I were reliving them. When the images shifted to my adulthood, I saw myself in a police uniform. I stood amidst dangerous situations, facing criminals. There were moments of pride when I protected others, but I also saw the despair in the eyes of those I punished. These memories echoed back, and I felt emotions I had ignored at the time. "Alan, every action, every choice you make holds meaning. You've thought that only grand acts mattered, but sometimes a simple smile or a word of encouragement can change someone's life," the voice reminded me. The light shifted again, and I saw the faces of those I had hurt. They didn't speak, but their eyes said it all. I felt their pain as if I were living it myself. This realization struck me deeply because I hadn't realized the wounds I had inflicted. "You are not being judged here, Alan. This is not a punishment, but an opportunity to understand and grow. You must recognize that true strength lies in love and compassion," the voice continued. I felt as though all my defenses melted away. The things I once considered strength, rigidity, discipline, and willpower, now seemed insignificant compared to the love and compassion I was experiencing. It was then that I understood true strength, not in control or dominance, but in the ability to love and forgive. As the light around me softened, I found myself kneeling, not because anyone asked me to, but because I felt my smallness before something infinitely greater. I didn't pray with words, but my heart was filled with gratitude and a yearning for forgiveness. I wanted to change, to become a better person. I don't know how much time passed, but the voice spoke again. "You still have much to do, Alan. When you return, remember that every day is an opportunity to love, to spread the light you felt today." I felt myself being pulled back to reality, though my mind lingered in what I had just experienced. This was not the end, but the beginning of a new journey, one that I knew would completely change how I lived and loved. When I opened my eyes again, The soft light from the hospital ceiling made me squint. I felt my body, weak yet alive. The sounds of machines and the voices of nurses surrounded me, but they all seemed distant. I had returned. The doctor's eyes were filled with amazement as he checked on me. "Alan, this is a miracle," he said, his voice tinged with doubt, as though he couldn't believe what he was witnessing. Within days, my physical condition began to recover rapidly, something even I couldn't explain except through what I had experienced. Although I was back in reality, my soul was not the same. The lessons from the light, from that compassionate voice, echoed within me. I realized I couldn't live the same way as before. My life had previously revolved around duty, strict principles, and pain, but now everything seemed different. I saw a greater purpose: to spread love and compassion. In the early days of my recovery, I still faced old fears. There were nights I woke up in panic, haunted by memories of my past life, pulling me into guilt and regret. But instead of resisting them, I learned to confront them. I reminded myself that everything I had gone through was part of a greater journey. One morning, while sitting by the window, gazing at the vast blue sky, I felt a clarity I had never known before. I had to share my story, not to seek sympathy, but to inspire. I realized that each of us has the power to change not only our own lives but also the lives of those around us through love and compassion. I began by writing in a journal. The first pages were messy, as I struggled to put into words what I had experienced. I wrote about the light, the voice, and the lessons I had learned. These memories weren't just mine. I felt they were a gift I had to share. My story spread faster than I anticipated. A friend, after reading the first entries in my journal, encouraged me to share them with the community. I started hosting small talks at churches and community centers. At first, I was nervous that no one would want to listen, but then I realized the opposite was true. People didn't just listen, they shared their own stories. Everyone had their own battles, their own pain, but the light within them had always been there waiting to be awakened. After one talk, a woman stood up and said to me, "Alan, your story has helped me forgive myself. I've carried regret for years, but now I understand that love can heal everything." Her words touched me deeply, and I knew I was on the right path. However, not everyone believed my story. There were skeptics, even ridicule. Some said I was making it up or imagining things. At first, these words hurt, but then I remembered the lesson from the light. Everyone is on their own journey, and not everyone is ready to understand. I learned not to judge, but to focus on those who truly needed my story. During one gathering with veterans, I shared my story with those who had faced war, death, and loss. Afterward, an older man approached me, his eyes brimming with tears. "I've carried anger in my heart for 40 years, he said. "But today, thanks to your story, I feel lighter." Moments like these made me realize that every time I told my story, I wasn't just helping others. I was helping myself. I was learning to love myself, forgive my mistakes, and live a more fulfilled life. This journey has no end. I know that each new day is an opportunity to learn and spread the light. I've written a book, sharing my story with a broader audience, and every thank you letter I receive serves as a reminder that I am fulfilling my mission. But the greatest lesson I've learned is this: love doesn't need words. It manifests through small actions, patience, and how we treat one another. I am not a saint, nor am I perfect, but I know that every day I strive to live as a prayer, a deep connection with something greater than myself. Now, as I write these final lines, I feel a peace I once thought I would never find. My journey is not just a personal story. It's an invitation for everyone to look deep within, to find the light inside, and to share it with the world. We don't need extraordinary events to understand that this life is truly precious and that each of us has the power to make it meaningful.